Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for July 12, 2022, the Shelly on Corruption edition. We begin with that story from The Guardian, who talks about or writes about Kenan Malik, Percy Shelly, as a radical writer who wanted culture to spark the imagination of ordinary people and was against corruption. So I have to say I'd never put Shelly together with anti-corruption, but a new poem found in 2006, bought by the Bodleian in Oxford, talked about this issue. And now we can draw on our literary roots to help fight corruption for those of you who are into the romantics. So Percy Shelly. Next up, from Reuters, failure to disclose information can cost you a government contract. As everyone who is in the federal government business knows, considerable resources are spent identifying business opportunities and preparing proposals. Regarding prior criminal, civil, or administrative matters, you better disclose them, because if you fail to do so and the government doesn't, or rather the government finds out, it's going to be very difficult for you to move forward. Next up, in an interesting article from the New York Times, a travel attendant talks about some of the things that she recommends you do with this summer of discontent with flying. The most interesting are the basics. Get to the airport early, fly direct if you can, be prepared, download the app of the plane you're flying on, fly as early as possible and you can, pack smart, don't be the guy who can't get his bag up onto the overhead, and be patient. She said airlines are tremendously understaffed, but it's more than airlines, it's ground crew, and the entire staff at airports. So you could be in for a very long day. You might as well take a good book and make the best of it, because it's not going to be fun. And finally, from the Washington Post, the identity of the person who leaked more than 240,000 Uber documents to The Guardian, who shared those materials with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, leading to the Uber files, has revealed himself. He is Mark McGann. He's a former high-ranking Uber executive who served as the company's public face in Europe during 2014 to 2016. He came forward for the same reason that almost all whistleblowers come forward. No one in the company would take his concerns seriously or even listen to him. So, see what happens when you don't pay attention to your whistleblowers. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.